Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion. This is going to be my review for Avengers Endgame. I'm not going to give away any spoilers initially. I will have a kind of section at the end to talk about a critique that will involve a spoiler, but I'll kind of give you fair warning when that is going to come up. So Avengers Endgame, I'm not going to go through the plot. Suffice it to say, I absolutely adored this movie. I haven't been the biggest fan of the more recent MCU films, if I'm honest, compared to maybe the first 2/3 of them. I actually think there are some bright spots in them. I liked Homecoming, for example, but I wasn't a huge fan of Captain Marvel, Black Panther, Ant-Man and the Wasp. I thought was really weak. So this one obviously is such a kind of like reward ultimately for the fans. And what did I like about it? So I'm not going to go into the plot at all, but it was just such a complex movie. Now, I feel with superhero movies, it's easy to get under. There's a big bad guy that wants to threaten somewhere, and it's up to the heroes to stop them. And that's the kind of the easy route and the kind of the simple plot that a lot of superheroes take. Certainly a lot of the ones of the later years. So I really like that this has quite an intricate plot that's kind of like really kind of keeps you guessing. I mean, the marketing was great for this movie because it really didn't give very much away, despite the fact there was lots of rumours about what might happen. So I thought the plot was great. I thought the acting was amazing in this movie. I thought the acting was so good. The actors here for me, and special mention to Scarlett Johansson, to me was the real kind of shining light in this film. I thought was just incredible. The dramatic scenes for me, for my money, for the characters that we've all kind of loved for this last 10 years. I mean, even just them talking in a room in their normal clothes, but we know as fans that these guys are, superheroes, was just so good. It was just so good. And the acting from Scarlett Johansson, Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, I thought were all brilliant. I thought it had some really funny moments in it that it didn't seem to stop the movie and kind of go, oh, hey, it's a joke. It just seemed very organic to me. Even some throwaway lines, and I just like the one where they said, "So Back to the Future was bullshit." Then just stuff like that, throwaway lines, was just brilliant. I thought the humour was fantastic, and so many kind of memorable moments in this film. This film definitely has high rewatchability value. I mean, maybe it's a little light on action, but I kind of liked it just the way it was. Because there was so much to enjoy. There were so many different facets in the movie for me that I just thought there was so much going on. And although it's obviously a 3-hour film, it was just packed. There was absolutely. This could have been this is one film where they could have split into two. You think about like things like The Hobbit where they've kind of stretched it out. This is almost the opposite. There's so much to pack in here. It could have easily just kind of like been chopped into two 1.5 hour movies. And had like the Endgame trilogy or whatever, the Thanos trilogy. That was all fantastic. I mean, the effects, there's the big action sequence at the end is breathtaking and kind of, it puts all these kind of like big CGI kind of things to shame, I feel, to a certain degree. And maybe it does get a little bit kind of like, it gets a bit lost in its own kind of grandeur, but I thought it was good, partly because there's nice character moments. There's so much payoff here. This almost is Avengers payoff, it should have been called, because it kind of pays off so many things. Do I have any critiques of this film? Before I get into the one which is a little bit spoilery, I feel maybe you kind of really have to be somewhat familiar, I feel, with the Marvel Cinematic Universe to really get the most of this movie, because there's so many callbacks to earlier films. I feel it can be a little bit, well, who's this? What's going on? If you haven't used it, I mean, I have seen some critiques from fans saying, "Oh, comic book," but you just got to treat it as a different thing. I will say, I thought Captain Marvel stands out to be. I mean, she's not in it a lot, but she just seems, I don't know, not the same as other characters. The way she's acted, her character is too overpowered, if you ask me. I mean, thank God they got the X-Men back so they can maybe suck get Rogue to suck out some of her powers and not come back, you know. But I don't know, just the character just seems out of place. I just don't think Brie Larson's very good in this role. I actually didn't mind I didn't review it on the channel, but I didn't mind Captain Marvel so much. But I don't know, she just doesn't fit in with the rest of the movie. I just didn't think her acting was as good, and despite the fact she's an Oscar winner, neither the character is just a little bit too OTT. I feel. I gotta say, I address a criticism I've seen, and that is, some characters were shortchanged. I've got to say I don't agree with that, because I feel a lot of those characters were they had their shine in the first film, you know. So I don't feel like, I feel characters in this film were ones that were kind of maybe in the background of the last film. So you kind of got to watch it in unison. So, you know, I mean, some like Doctor, Tony Stark, for example, he's really he's in a lot of both. But, you know, I actually thought the character balancing was actually pretty good. So this is a little bit of a spoilery thing here. I think the time travel stuff was a little bit mumbo jumbo, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And one thing I'm a little confused on, which to me is a bit of a plot hole that I have seen no other videos pick up on at the moment, is that the people who survive the snap are essentially 5 years older from the people who didn't survive the snap and who have been brought back. So obviously, if most of the Avengers Endgame takes place 5 years later, but people are brought back from the point where they have died, which means they're all ultimately 5 years younger from everyone else. So half the planet has aged 5 years and half hasn't. Basically, at the end of this movie, and when you see things like, for example, Spider-Man, does that mean, you know, all of his classmates are going to should now have been left school and things like that, which I don't think they're going to address, because obviously you've seen the Far From Home trailer and everyone is still in a school trip, but that shouldn't be the case unless they all died, which is a little bit convenient. So everyone should have moved on 5 years in their lives, and apart from the half of the people that didn't, if that makes sense. So I feel that issue for me hasn't really been properly, you know, that no one seems to have picked it up. But just the way the time travel, I mean, the time travel's a pain in the arse anyway, but in films, because obviously it doesn't really happen, so, you know, there's always going to be logic issues, but I just think they just go, blah, 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 blah. It's fine. But overall, man, what a film. I mean, I got kind of a little bit, not to the point where I was crying or anything, but I was like, you know, I'm feeling invested, but such a great movie. I thought it was fantastic, and, you know, if the Marvel Cinematic Universe ended now, I actually think it would be great, in a way. Not that I don't want to see these characters continue, but I just think it's perfect. I hope that they stick with the people who have passed, shall we say, and don't kind of bring them back. I'd like to kind of leave this as the certain characters' kind of swan song. So anyway, I thought it was fantastic. I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. Overall, for a movie, I still think Winter Soldier is the top film, but this is probably second for me now. So, have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment. And what do you think about my 5 years difference in time question? You know, obviously, but spoiler tags if you want to discuss it with me. Anyway, that's it. 8 out of 10. What did you think of it? Bye for now.